guys, and welcome to my kitchen, Midnight Munchies and more. I am your chef, Cherise, and today we're gonna make a vegan stuffing to go with our vegan Thanksgiving menu. So I wanted to address two things before we get started. First being, if you can't stomach watching The Annoying Girl, the written recipe is always linked in my description below. Make sure you click that. You have to sometimes click like show more. I'm so sorry. But the written recipe is always there, you guys. Don't just, before you even come at me with the hate, like, it's right there. Stop coming at me. You don't have to watch me. But we're going to have lots of laughs and fun. So, you know, you want to check it out. Also, second thing, there was some controversy over the pre-made pie crust for my vegan pumpkin pie. So if you guys haven't seen that, check up above. But I always want to make sure you guys always check your ingredients for multiple reasons. Even when somebody says that something is accidentally vegan, check the ingredients on the back. Two reasons. Sometimes companies make their products different ways depending on different countries and states and whatever. And sometimes companies change those ingredients over time. So make sure you check those. There are some apps in the app store you guys can check out that actually help you just scan the barcode and they'll tell you if it's vegan or not. So that's super important. Let's just fucking get into it. You can certainly leave your loaf of bread out overnight to start your stuffing because you want it like harder, like a day old, like stale almost bread. But if you're like me and you forget to do that every time, we're gonna toast our bread. And I actually like the texture better when it's a little bit toasty as opposed to that stale kind of thing. But you know, it's also a great way to use stale bread if you're, you know, got a fiance like mine who forgets to cover up the bread and it gets stale. But in this case, this is a fresh loaf of bread. I'm gonna use the Arnold Oat Nut. I used an app, just like I said in my intro, to make sure that it is vegan, and I also read the ingredients on the back of the list. You can use whatever kind of bread you want. This is a whole loaf of the Arnold Oat Nut bread. This happens to be my favorite, and it was on sale. And it has little bits of like nut and oats in it, which I quite like. I leave my crust on. I even use the ends because I don't discriminate against bread beaches. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna pop this. I have my oven set to 300 degrees, and we're just gonna pop this in there for about 30 minutes, but we're gonna continue to flip it a few times, just kind of, you know, mess it all around and make sure that it gets toasty and dried out against all the bread. So while our bread is getting nice and toasty tits, I went ahead and prepped our veg and our herbs. Now, I don't particularly like huge chunks of vegetables in my stuffing, but what I do like is when you hit that subscribe button, and make sure you hit that little bell notification so you know when I have more recipes coming your way. But what I did was I pulsed just very lightly, just a couple pulses of one large red onion, of about 2 to 3 stalks of celery, and about an 8-ounce package of sliced button mushrooms. And then we've got about 2 tablespoons of minced garlic. Now, I'm using fresh herbs in this. If you use dry herbs, I'm just gonna let you know that you're gonna use less. So the rule of thumb usually is 1 tablespoon equals 1 teaspoon. So 1 tablespoon of fresh herbs equals about 1 teaspoon of dry herbs. So keep that in mind. Don't accidentally overflavor your bitch. So I've got about 2 to 3, 2.5, 3 tablespoons of fresh sage. I've got about a tablespoon of fresh thyme and a tablespoon of fresh rosemary. Now, at the end, you can certainly add some fresh parsley on top, but I'm not a super fan of parsley. It will definitely help brighten it up a little bit if you're into that sort of thing with parsley. I just don't like it, but that's also an option as well. I would do probably, I don't know, about 2 tablespoons of fresh parsley at the end because it burns very quickly. So I would add that at the end if that's what you wanted, but I'm not going to add this today. So now we're gonna come over here to the stove, and I've got about 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil, or EVOO if you heard me call it before. And we're gonna add our mushrooms, our onions, and our celery to that on medium. And we're gonna saute these down until they get a lot softer. Now, I know some of you are gonna be like, Patrice, you don't like mushrooms. And I know, but because we made those even smaller than our onions and celery, I feel like it gives it such more of an earthy, meaty type of flavor to our stuffing. And if you make them really small, like how we do for like our vegan meatballs or vegan sloppy joes, you actually can't really even tell that there's mushrooms in there. You're just getting that mushroom flavor. So we're gonna saute these down for about, I'm gonna say about 15 minutes, but you want them nice and soft. I'll show you what that looks like. So y'all see that liquid happening? What we wanna do is not so much focus on the time of our vegetables, but make sure that liquid is getting evaporated all the way. as you can see and hear, most of that liquid is all the way out. So I'm going to start adding my garlic to this, and then I'm going to add all of my herbs like so, because heating those up is really going to help just like release the oils and the flavors in those herbs. And then I'm going to add some salt and pepper just to taste. Obviously, you know me, Beach. I'm going to do a lot more pepper. And then some salt up in here, Beach. Okay, so then we're going to come over here and look at my spatula. We're going to get Frankenstein. And we're just going to stir this up for about another minute or two and then take it right off the heat. We got our Toasty Tits bread up in here. You can hear it. It's just very like, you know, Toasty Tits. And to that we're going to add the mixture we just made from the stove. So I'm going to pop that on there. Oh, girl. It smells so good in here already. This is a huge bowl. You need a big old bowl. I actually might need to put this in a bigger bowl. Okay, I had to move it to a bigger bowl. That other one was just not big enough. And I'm just going to give this a quick toss before I start adding my vegetable broth. Now, I'm going to tell you 2 cups of vegetable broth, but here's the thing. You guys, you got to really have a feel for things. Like, and I know that's not something like if you're a new cook that you're just automatically going to have, but this is why I try to give you these tips and tricks. And you can always add more. You can't take away. So I'm only going to start by adding about 1.5 cups to this, and then add more as I go. So I got it a little bit in there. We're gonna start mixing this up, okay? And now what we're looking for is we want moist bread mixture. We don't want mushy. We just want moist, and it looks like I'm gonna need a little bit more. So let me add some more. I still got about 1/4 cup left that I might not put in there, but again, you want it, every piece to be nice and moist and coated with that vegetable broth, but you do not want it mushy. And see, look, okay, so I'm actually going to have to do the whole 2 cups. Now, if you find that you need to add even more than 2 cups, that's totally fine, but just don't make it mushy. Make sure it's moist. And then you have to taste it, make sure it's good. And we're going to transfer this to a baking dish. Okay, so I transferred that mixture over to this here baking dish, and what I have is my oven preheated to 350 degrees. Now, I'm gonna actually take my cover, and I'm gonna cover this up, and I'm gonna let this bake for about 30 minutes, and then I'm gonna take my cover off, and I'm gonna let it continue to bake for about another 10-15 minutes until we get it nice and crispy bits on top. You guys, look at our stuffing. Oh my God. Girl, if that's not vegan stuffing of the best variety, I don't know what is. So let's get into tasting, because I've been waiting. Mostly soft, but a little crunch on the top. That's my stuffing dance, Beach. Okay. So I'm actually going to save a little bit of this because I'm going to put it in my vegan meatless loaf, which is going to be the first of 3 main course options that I'm going to show you that you can choose from to make for in place of your turkey for your vegan Thanksgiving. I'm also going to go and get a couple things that you can buy so you don't have to make something that's like a turkey replacement for vegans that are super delicious, and I'll share those with you. And I'll give you a little quick review on each one of those. So you're going to want to hit that subscribe button and hit the little bell notification so you get those. Also, if you pre-make this, I would go ahead and cook it when you prep it and then just warm it up the next day, because you don't want that bread to get soggy. You want that stuffing texture. You know what I'm talking about, girl. And then again, as I said in the beginning, the full written recipe will be linked below. MidnightMunchiesandmore.com. Make sure you guys check out my PayPal. Help donate to this channel, midnightmunchiesandmore@yahoo.com, so I can get a better camera, better quality, better tripod, all of that jazz, make some more intenser recipes for you guys. And if you make something of mine, make sure you take pictures and share it on my social media. I even have a vegan recipe group on Facebook, Vegan Recipes Without Judgment, main role, don't be a dick. I love it. Okay, thank you guys for joining me, and I'll catch you next time.
goodnight kisses while he wishes and reminisces. His eyes kissing while he waits for the full moon above. Oh, ivory dove, passionate love, listening closely, positioning my intuition for her nutrition and ambition, get up. Like when you rise in the morning, rub your eyes in the morning through the skies in the morning, get up. Like when you rise in the morning, rub your eyes in the morning through the skies in the morning, get up.